Hey guys, what is up? It's been a while since I've done a Let's Talk About video, and I thought, the 2023 movie season has come to an end, and now we are in 2024. So I'm gonna give you my list for my most anticipated movies of 2024. So let's get into it. So let's talk about it. All right. So I want you guys to use with like a little grain of salt that my list of my most anticipated movies is going to be a bit different, probably from yours, since we all like movies, and maybe somebody don't agree with. But I want you guys to know everyone has their opinion to like what they want. So like I'm asking politely not for you to bash my list because we have a lot of great movies coming in 2024, and it took me a while to narrow down this to my top 10 most anticipated movies, but there were some I wanted to put in here, some that did not make the cut, but I think I have a pretty good list on my anticipated list. So let's start with the list. So the first movie, we're going to start at number 10, and that's for me, is going to be Gladiator 2. Now, personally, you guys are pretty mad. I have not seen the first Gladiator. I've seen like snippets and parts, but I've never finished the movie. And you're probably thinking, well, if you haven't seen Gladiator, why are you excited for Gladiator 2? I'm excited for Gladiator 2 because of the terrific cast that this movie has. And also, you got Ridley Scott. I'll go see any Ridley Scott movie. I saw Napoleon. And, this kind of went down the list after saw Napoleon because I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be good. And, some people have dropped out. But, you look at this cast. You got Paul Mescal, who's pretty big right now. Just did the movie All of Us Are Strangers, which is probably going to get a Best Picture and I think a Best Actor nom for him. You got Denzel freaking Washington in this movie. Denzel Washington, like how you get one of the best actors in the world in Denzel Washington, and you got Connie Nielsen, who's back from the original film, I believe. Pedro Pascal showing up. Djimon Hounsou, who is in there as well. Joseph Quinn. Like, this cast is stacked, man. Stacked. Like, I don't know if they started shooting yet, but you got a terrific cast, and I think if you tell a good story, and this is Ridley Scott. I know Gladiator is probably the one of the most reviewed, some people's most favorite film of all time. Maybe I'll watch it, on the channel, but just seeing this cast and seeing Ridley Scott is getting me excited for this film. Alright, so let's move on to my number 9 spot. And some of you will be like, you put this over Gladiator 2? How could you? This is my list, guys, my list. 9, I have Craven the Hunter. Now, you're probably thinking, like, also, like I just said, why would you put this over Gladiator? Well, a little game called Spider-Man 2 came out, and I recently got to finish playing it. And it made me think, like, if they can make Craven badass like it did in this Spider-Man 2 video game, this got my support. And you got one of my favorite actors, who I think has been done very dirty, but he's one of my favorite, in Aaron Taylor Johnson. The thing for me, I really found Taylor like a lot of you when I watched Avengers: Age of Ultron, and I was so upset that they killed Quicksilver because he was one of my favorites in the movie. He's done the Kick-Ass films, and he took a kind of step back from superhero genre. He's been doing a lot of work with David Leitch. What was it? Oh my gosh, Bullet Train. He was in Bullet Train. He was awesome in Bullet Train, like so good in Bullet Train. And he was also, I believe, in Tenet as well. Yeah, he was in Tenet with Christopher Nolan. So he's been doing some good work, some more side work on side. And he's gonna be in the new Fall Guy movie. We'll maybe talk about that a little later. See where that's on my list. But he's returning back to superhero genre. And he's playing a character like I think from the Sony characters, Craven and Venom. This is probably one of the biggest ones, and this is one of the most anticipated. It got pushed back, and I think they did reshoots, but I want to believe in this movie. And you also got Russell Crowe in here as well. Russell Crowe, another premier acting talent, and I'm just excited to see it, guys. I don't care if you guys are gonna bash me for putting this above Gladiator 2. I think 9 is the perfect position for me to be anticipated for this movie. All right, now let's move on to my 8th spot. I got A Quiet Place Day One. Now, I have liked the Quiet Place movies. I really love the first Quiet Place. I thought the second one was okay. It was an okay movie. It was enjoyable. I had a good time watching it. But I thought it was good. Now they announced they were going to do a prequel to the Quiet Place. I'm like, oh, a prequel, that could be interesting. And it's called Quiet Place Day One. And they got some good talent in this movie. You got the main star of it, Lupita Nyong'o, is starring it from Black Panther, from movies like Us. You know, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, but they also got my boy Joseph Quinn in there, Eddie from Stranger Things. I'm like, oh my gosh, this just made me even more excited. And I think there's some other stars. I think it's rumored that I think it's saying like Alex Wolf, who, if you don't know who Alex Wolf is, he was in the Jumanji movies. He plays like the main like guy that turns into the Rock in the first one. But God, great cast, and I don't know. I don't look it up. Like, yeah. So John Krasinski is not directing the film. He is not directing it this time. It is another director, Michael Samoski, is directing it. Yes, and he hasn't done like a lot of huge like stuff. He is in line to direct part three. No, is he in directing part three? No. Yeah, so he is directing part three of Quiet Place, which is interesting. But he also did his like most big movie. It was Pig with Nicolas Cage. So he's a fairly new director. And I know that a lot of people like Pig got excellent reviews. It had Alex Wolff in there too, but also Nicolas Cage got 97% Rotten Tomatoes. You know, and this is kind of his first big film. But you got a terrific cast in there, and maybe you got some cameos coming in with Emily Blunt, and maybe her daughter, played by Melissa Simmons, which I think it's really cool because I thought the hearing aid part was always the coolest part of the Quiet Place movies. Because you guys probably don't know this, but I have someone in my family who has hearing aids, who has them, and that was really cool too. Because they never really in movies go into like people who can't hear. They do deaf people. They've done deaf like really. Like, if you've seen Coda, go watch it. That's great. But I've never seen something like them representing like hearing loss because not all people who wear hearing aids are deaf. And that was really cool to see, especially for the person in my family. They were like, oh, wow, I kind of feel represented watching this film. And I think Quiet Place is a really great franchise, and that's why it's got my number 8 spot. Alright, now let's move on to my number 7 spot. Another movie. Another non-franchise movie, which is The Fall Guy. The trailer for this came out a few months ago. And it was originally supposed to come out in March, but it's now coming out in May since Marvel shifted their schedule. Everyone else wanted to get those spots, and we got the Fall Guy in there. Mostly gonna go see this for Mr. Ryan Gosling. After watching Barbie, I already liked Ryan Gosling. Like, I'm one of the people who really like Blade Runner. The second Blade Runner movie, Blade Runner 2049. I think Ryan Gosling is really good in that movie, playing alongside Harrison Ford's Deckard character. And since he's done Barbie, his stock has risen up. Everyone wants him for his movie, and this is a David Leitch film, and I'm a big fan of David Leitch. Bullet Train was one of my favorite movies from, I believe, from 2022 or 2021. I can't remember when that came out, but I really liked Bullet Train. I really liked it, and of course, you got Emily Blunt in here as well, and this is kind of. I'm really interested in the story. It's an action. It's Ryan Gosling in an action movie, and of course he's done other action movies. He did that one with Chris Evans. With the Russos. The Gray Man, which I thought it was an okay movie, but watching the trailer, it seems like a modern day action hero movie, which we don't get a lot nowadays. I think David Leitch has done a lot of these. David Leitch, I believe he did either Deadpool. I think he did the first or second Deadpool movie. He did, like I said, Bullet Train. And I have complete confidence that this is going to be a good movie. And I believe this might be one of the surprise hits of next year in the box office wise. Because you got Ryan Gosling in there, who is a great actor. And people love him from Barbie. So they're probably going to show up and watch him in this film. And that's why I'm excited for it. But that is my number 7. Alright, now let's go to my number 6 spot. This might surprise you. Might surprise you. Furiosa is on my is my in sixth place for me. Now, I was a little bit late to the Mad Max game. I recently in this past year watched Mad Max Fury Road for the first time, and I loved it. I loved it, and I was so interested in Furiosa's character. And I knew that they were going to do this before went into the next Mad Max movie, and I knew it wasn't going to be Charlize Theron or Tom Hardy coming back for this movie. I knew that it was going to be Anya Taylor Joy, and I'm a big fan of Anya Taylor Joy. Let me tell you that after watching Queen's Gambit, and I think she was probably the best part of New Mutants. I was really excited to see this. And I watched the first trailer came out, and I absolutely loved it. It was an awesome trailer. And, a lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't look so great. Oh, it looks kind of, CW-ish. I'm like, it doesn't. Guys, we gotta remember, like, George Miller, who's directing this movie, he's nearly 90 years old. And, that doesn't make me less excited for this movie. Like, it just makes, like, he's getting up there in age, he's not, like, there's probably not gonna be a lot of Mad Max movies he can do left because he'll be like, what, 91, 92 when this comes out? But you got a great cast as well. You got Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth. Both very talented actors. I'm excited to see Chris Hemsworth do something else besides Thor. Kind of go into another franchise. And this is like, I feel like Anya Taylor-Joy's first film where she's the lead. She's a star. This is a big film for her. She was great in The Menu, great in Queen's Gambit, and I liked her in The New Mutants. I thought her playing Magic was really good. But can't wait to check this out. Definitely excited. Now we're going to go in my top 5. Now this is a part where hopefully you guys won't rip me apart in the comments for what I'm about to be my list. Okay. Number 5. Wicked Part 1. Yes, I said Wicked. Yes, I am excited for a musical based, I believe Wicked is based on Wizard of Oz. And I wasn't excited for this film when they originally announced the movie. And I was like, oh, Wicked, something from the Wizard of Oz. I don't know. Then CinemaCon happened. CinemaCon. And I heard things that were like this movie looks amazing, And some of the images came out. I'm like, oh my gosh. This looks, oh my gosh. Like, I got so excited for it. And it's got a pretty good cast, guys. You got Michelle Yeoh coming off her Oscar win from last year from Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, coming in. And she, guys, I don't know any of the characters. But I know she's playing Madame Morbiel, which is really cool. But you also got Ariana Grande in here, so you're gonna attract that musical audience, and she is playing Glinda. I don't know who that is, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know my Wicked and my Wizard of Oz stuff. Not the thing I follow. You also got Jeff Goldblum in here playing the Wizard, and also you got Kayla Sedol. Now, if you're wondering who that last person was, she was in The Greatest Showman, and she's the one that sings "This Is Me," and she has a beautiful voice, guys. Like, I find myself listening to The Greatest Showman soundtrack almost every year for a little bit, and it's her songs in it. Not just "This Is Me." There are some other songs that she's really good in, I believe. She has a part in From Now On, which is really good. And, Greatest Showman is a really underrated movie, in my opinion. And I think it's one of the best musicals, I've really enjoyed in a long time. But it's great to see her back. This is kind of the first thing I've known that she's going to be in since The Greatest Showman. Now, also, the director is very exciting. You got John Chu. He just recently had another movie. It was I think it was Silent Night. I think he directed that. It was the one with Joel Kinnaman. But, he did Crazy Rich Asians, which was very good. He's done musicals before, He's done, 2 of the Step Up, if you know what they are, the Step Up movies, and he did Now You See Me Too. He's been very hit and miss. with his movies. He did In the Heights. Yeah, so he has like that background for musicals and all that. But very excited to see Wicked Part 2. Definitely on my most anticipated series. I hope it doesn't get delayed. This movie, I think, could be maybe one of the hits for next year because you're attracting also the fans of Ariana Grande and also the movie fans. And, John Chu is a director people get very excited about. All right, now let's move on to my number 4 spot. Now, this one I think was also controversial for a lot of people. For me, I was just thrilled when they announced this, and that movie was Transformers 1. Now, you guys probably don't know this. I have not talked about it a lot. I am a huge Transformers guy. I love it. I love Transformers. People always hit and miss on say like, oh, Michael Bay movies suck. I grew up with the Michael Bay Transformers. I know that's kind of sad to hear, but I find myself rewatching those movies, having a fun time, having a good laugh. Me and my brother always going back, saying those Optimus Prime lines. All for one. And for the longest time, Bumblebee has been my favorite protagonist of all time. My dream car, is that Camaro from the 2007 film, because I think it's absolutely awesome. And I was like, that's the most badass car ever. And I was excited for Rise of the Beast. Let down a little bit, but I saw it twice and I enjoyed it. It was a good Transformers movie. And they announced a CinemaCon last year. They were doing this Transformers 1 prequel animated film. And what got me really interested, animated. And I'm like, animated, huh? Because I have seen, what Spider-Verse, animation now is really big. And I've seen what's happened with Spider-Verse. You look at the Spider-Verse movies, that has brought Miles Morales streamlined and kind of reinvigorated the Spider-Man fans, after, they were there, but like a lot of people were kind of getting upset, like, oh, the Tom Holland Spider movies, they're okay, they're not Spider-Man I love, and Spider-Verse was the first one to introduce that multiverse and kind of brought Miles Morales into the mainstream, and he's like one of the most like recognizable characters, I believe, in the superhero genre today. And now you're going to Transformers 1, where you're going to probably do an animated film, which I'm hoping for not the same, but similar style to Spider-Verse. And you're telling a prequel film. Now, this has not been, they have not said that if this is connected to anything. But, for me, it's Transformers. I'm going to go see it. And we got a great cast so far. You got, now, this is the first time, I think, ever, I don't know, since someone else will be voicing Optimus Prime, and we have Chris Hemsworth. Because Peter Cullen's usually my guy. I love Peter Cullen to death, but he's getting up there in age, so he can't do this forever. You got Chris Hemsworth voicing Optimus Prime. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Now you also got Scarlett Johansson from the Marvel, those two from the Marvel family, voicing Elita 1. Now, if you don't know who Elita 1 is, if you watch the Transformers anime on Netflix, Elita 1's kind of Optimus' second command, and there's a little bit of a relationship between them two. And they've kind of like just recently, I feel like, started doing that. And you got some other characters. You got Brian Tyree Henry as Megatron, which, that's awesome. I love Brian Tyree Henry, and I think, he's been really good in kind of the small indie films he's done, but I feel like he's never really gotten a chance to do something big. And I feel like this could be something big for him. He was in Eternals, but he wasn't really my favorite character. Didn't really like him in Eternals. He was great in Bullet Train with Aaron Taylor Johnson. Loved him there. But seeing him as Megatron, that's been really cool. Then you got Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee, which I'm already sensing, Bumblebee's going to be the comedic character. He's going to be the life, of the party. It's going to be a younger Bumblebee, not the Bumblebee we know from the Bay movies, not the one we know from Rise of the Beasts, maybe even earlier than the Bumblebee movie. So that's very cool to see. And he's going to talk in it! Bumblebee's going to talk! That's exciting. You also got Lawrence Fishburne as Alpha Trion, he was like the main leader of the Autobots who trained Optimus and Megatron together. You also got John Hamm playing Sentinel Prime, which is like Optimus's kind of like close comrade / brother. I would prefer if it was Ultra Magnus. I really want to see Ultra Magnus in live action. There's also some rumors of some other characters showing up. Characters like Jazz, I don't know. I think maybe RC might show up, and seeing Jazz would be pretty exciting since we haven't seen Jazz since 2007. But overall, this is fourth on my list because I feel like this could be great. And it's from the director is Josh Cooley, which I believe he did Toy Story 4. Did he direct Toy Story 4? Let's see, did he direct it? Yes, he directed Toy Story 4. And you're like, okay, Toy Story 4 was like not as popular, but it did do good at the box office. Maybe transfer this is not great. Maybe it's going to be a bad step in the direction, but I'm hoping for like a really good animation style that's vibrant and new, kind of like Spider-Verse. But yeah, that's me my thoughts on Transformers 1. Alright, now let's move on to my top 3. At third place, I got Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Now, originally, when they came out with these Sonic movies, the first trailer I saw was the Ugly Sonic, and I was like, no, 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 no. I didn't even go see Sonic the Hedgehog 1 in theaters. And I watched it, and I liked it. I thought it was okay. Then we got into Sonic 2. I love Sonic 2. It's such a fun movie. And I feel like Sonic 2 goes more into the lore, which I loved. We got to see Knuckles, Tails, we got to see Super Sonic. We got introduced to the Chaos Emeralds and the Chaos Beings. And of course, that post-credit scene at the end of Sonic 3 with Shadow the Hedgehog. Freaking Shadow the Hedgehog. One of my favorite video game characters in all of existence. And I am so excited, guys. So excited. We're going to dive more into the lore, seeing like where Shadow came from, seeing his connection to Alice, who you don't know is like kind of like the one who accepted him. And we're going to see, I feel like this is going to be like kind of a war movie, and we might have other characters appearing as well. We still have got characters like Amy Rose, we got a Knuckles series coming before this. Maybe the Chaotic is introduced before then. We get some more side characters, We got characters like Blaze, maybe Rogue, who's like Shadow's like partner in crime. So much is coming, guys. And I don't know if it's going to be the final chapter, but maybe we also get Silver the Hedgehog in here. And yeah, I'm very excited for Sonic 3. Sorry, guys, my dog's eating something on my bed over there. I'm like, what are you eating, a bone? Okay, my second most anticipated movie of the year. Dune Part 2. If I put to my most favorite movies of all time, I have movies like The Avengers, movies like Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, movies like that. When I watched Dune for the first time, I loved it. And I've watched it probably about, I don't know, maybe 30 to 40 times now. I love the movie. It's my favorite movie of all time, guys. It's like, Dune's your favorite movie of all time? Yeah, Dune is my favorite movie of all time. Denis Villeneuve, what he did with the first one, like, was so amazing. It was like, so cinematic. And this is the guy who brought movies like The Arrival, Sicario. I think he did Blade Runner 2049 as well. Let me look it up. Denis. He's just a great director, guys. And he Dune has really put him in mainstream now, I think he's really up there with directors like Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg is some of the greatest. I think he's one of the greatest directors of all time, and not just because he's done this one movie, but because he's done. Sorry, guys. Because he's done movies like Blade Runner 2049, The Arrival, Sicario, great movies that I absolutely love and think are great, which I think are very underrated. And Dune brought him into the spotlight. Not only that, the cast for this movie is freaking stacked, guys. Oh my god, this cast is one of the most stacked casts I've seen in a minute. You got Timothée Chalamet in there. You got Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Christopher freaking Walken, Leah Seydoux, from the James Bond movies, Javier Bardem, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Josh Brolin. Like, this is the most stacked cast I've seen for a movie in forever. Like, how could you not be excited? I don't know if there's going to be a part 3. I think Denis said he wanted to do, 2 parts was all he wanted to do. But this movie, I feel like, could be $1 billion movie. Because just the popularity of Dune has grown over time. And I'm saying that's the reason I'm excited. I'm excited because I love the first one. Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides, at first I wasn't a fan of Timothée Chalamet. I thought, after Call Me By Your Name, I was like, oh, I don't really know this kid, I don't really see him as a lead for a film. I watched Dune, and he is a lead, guys. He is, I believe, one of the biggest names in the acting world today. And he's barely getting started, He just did Wonka, which was excellent, which only built more hype for people to see him. And this is probably my second most anticipated movie of the year. Now, this would be number 1 if the next movie of the year wasn't my most anticipated movie of all freaking time. Deadpool 3. Now, would we be saying Deadpool 3 isn't my most popular if Mr. Hugh Jackman wasn't in it? No. But guess what? Hugh Jackman is in this movie! And the set photos of him wearing his iconic, finally, his iconic yellow Wolverine costume got me goosebumps. And everything I'm hearing, this movie is a movie appreciating those X-Men movies. And for me, I grew up on those X-Men movies, just like I did Transformers. I've watched them countless times. At least once a year, I go back and watch, X-Men, X2, Last Stand, Days of Future Past. Those are some of my 4 favorite movies. Last Stand, no, not Last Stand, Days of Future Past is probably my favorite X-Men movie of all time. I think it's just amazing. I'm talking about X-Men franchise. I'm not talking about Logan, Wolverine. I'm talking about movies that say X-Men in it. It's good. And also the part where they're bringing back original characters. Characters like James Marsden's Cyclops, Frankie Jensen's Jean Grey, Halle Berry's Rogue. Maybe, oh my gosh, Anna Paquin's Rogue may be coming back. Just gets me excited. And the thing for me is, it's giving these actors a final chance to say goodbye. And of course you're thinking, whoa, right? Whoa, man, they said goodbye in Days of the Future Past. That was really a goodbye to me. It was just like, hey, we're here, we're sticking them in the movie, saying goodbye. I'm like, I would like a little more. You'll see a little screen time. And I think this is going to do it. This is going to end the 20th Century Fox X-Men. And I think it's going to bring everything together. Because even if we don't want to say it, these X-Men movies came out at a time when superhero movies weren't all they are today, You didn't have, characters like Captain Marvel or Shang-Chi. People weren't ready to see those characters on screen yet because no one was really into superheroes. Superhero movies, comics, people were selling off things. It was dying. Spider-Man and X-Men, I think, really invigorated people to start watching these movies again. And it's no small feat to say that Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is one of the most iconic superhero characters of all time. And you got him in Deadpool 3, which will allow him to be violent as hell. He's going to be chopping heads off. This is not the movie you take little Timmy to, say, oh, little Timmy, let's go see Deadpool and see Wolverine. He's like, no! This ain't for little Timmy! This is for me. This is for us to be like, Wolverine's going to be cutting heads off, and we're going to be stabbing Deadpool all the time. And that's why I'm excited. And I'm excited to see characters, getting a second spotlight. Like James Marsden's Cyclops. My basic opinion is 20th Century Fox did my boy Cyclops dirty. He is the leader of the X-Men. And they're like, no, Wolverine's more popular. He's going to lead the X-Men. I'm like, Wolverine has never led the X-Men, guys. He's always been the guy off doing something else. He's even been part of the Avengers, Alpha Flight, and all that. And I love Hugh Jackman, but I really want to see Cyclops. And maybe the iconic costumes they did for Wolverine, they're going to give them to the original characters. So yeah, guys, that is my top 10 list of 2024. Now, there are some honorable mentions that I'm going to tell you guys right now that I am excited for, but did not make my top 10. Those are movies like Joker 2, Venom 3, Ballerina, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and you got some other movies out there that I'm not super stoked to see, but I'm not going to talk about those. And we got a great year for movies, guys. Great year for movies. Hopefully, nothing happens where these get delayed. I don't believe we're going to be dealing with any strikes again right now. Hopefully, not any more pandemics hit. But this is a great year for movies. Not just franchise movies, but new movies, original stories, like The Fall Guy, like Ballerina, like Gladiator 2, Wicked Part 1. They might be adapted, but these are things people don't know of. People don't know some of these projects. People are going to discover them through marketing and hype throughout the year. And of course, we all know that Deadpool 3 is going to be the most popular of the year. And it's the reason why 2024 looks very exciting. And 2024, we look at it, not a comic book movie year. Not a comic book movie year. But it is going to be a great year for movies. A great year. Thank you guys for watching my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2024. Please make sure you like and comment on this video and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time.